tassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Natti me saranang anyam buddho me saranam varam. Natti me saranang anyam dhammo me saranam varam. Natti me saranang anyam sangho me saranam varam. Natti me saranang anyam Nibbanan paraman sukhan. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, Teruvan Saranai to everybody. So today's Deshana is going to be on the basics of Buddhism. What really did the Buddha teach? Because we have so many different practices happening everywhere, and with different multiple different approaches to meditation, different approaches to what this philosophy is. So it's important to really get a grasp of what exactly were the teachings of the Buddha. When a lot of people think about Buddhism, especially in the West, an idea which comes is meditation. Buddhism and meditation are very closely associated with one another. And most of you all must have heard of breath meditation, or Maitri Bhavana, that is loving kindness meditation, and all these different kinds of meditation. And while these are very important, something which is essential in Buddhist teachings is the Deshana, or the talks, or the Dhamma discussion, or the Dhamma basically which is preached by the Buddha. Essentially, the Dhamma is what comes first, and then the meditation follows. I think this is very important to understand. It is said that when Lord Buddha spoke, when Lord Buddha would give a Deshana, there would be instances where so many people would become stream enterers. That means Sotapanna. Around 50,000 people at once in certain Deshanas, they have become Sotapanna. So it is only after that. So just by no means of meditation whatsoever, just by listening to that Deshana, just by listening to that discussion and understanding. So that has always been the first step, Samma Ditti. It is only after we listen and understand does the real practice begin. The real meditation begins after that. So it's important to really understand what did really the Buddha teach 2600 years ago, which so many people worship at this day and age. What are these timeless teachings? What do they say? I found the simplest way, and of course there are different ways this can be approached, but I found one of the simplest ways to explain this is how Lord Buddha himself did it, through the Four Noble Truths and the talking of Anichia, Dukkha, Anatta. If these concepts are understood properly, it will be very easy to move into the meditation. So, what did Lord Buddha talk about? The fundamental nature of all existence. Most people get like a very negative approach. I've heard some people say when it comes with regards to Buddhism, because it's always about dukkha, no? Like dukkha this, dukkha that, everything is suffering, and people get pretty negative when that scenario comes. Especially, I've had friends come and tell, so what does that mean? Does that mean to like give everything up, not do anything because everything is suffering anyway? So it's very easy to misunderstand some of these teachings because it's actually very deep. When we think about dukkha, we usually associate with the emotion of dukkha, the Vedana of dukkha. But the dukkha Lord Buddha talked about was something much deeper than that. It said that dukkha arya satya kyane dukkha nemei, dukkha kyane dukkha arya satya nemei. What that basically means in English is the noble truth of dukkha is not dukkha, and dukkha is not the noble truth of dukkha. Basically, when we think dukkha, we think suffering, losing someone, failing an exam maybe, getting depressed. And all these things do come under the noble truth of dukkha, but it's not limited just to that. Because no matter who is there, people know that there is suffering, yeah? Like you don't, a separate being doesn't have to come and tell a person that there is suffering. Yeah? It's not essential. Even if you take like a funeral, people are sad. We know that dukkha is there. We know that things are impermanent up to a certain extent. So why does an individual have to come separately and talk about dukkha? What is that all about? So that is what is to be questioned over here. Going into the factors of anicca, dukkha, anatta, anicca basically means, one translation which you can take is impermanence, but a much deeper one is iccha means to your liking and aniccha means not to your liking. Of course, there are so many things in the world we have towards our liking. And why do we have those things towards our liking? Because it gives us a certain sense of happiness, a certain sense of joy. And because of that, because of what it is able to give us, we take it to be valuable. Think about it this way. If you take some of your goals or dreams, say it's getting that new promotion at work, that is valuable to you. Why is that valuable to you? Because you know that it will give you a sense of happiness once you get there. So obviously, it is to your liking. So within this example, what Lord Buddha said was, it's actually anicca. Everything in this world has anicca nature to it. So every object and every state of mind, every state of existence is anicca. Not to my liking. Kamathi say nae. The problem is when we take things which are not to our liking to be to our liking, then that is where the dukkha aspect comes in. And because of that, it is not valuable. Anatta, sarana, that is not valuable. So basically, we take things which are anicca, dukkha, anatta in nature to be nicca, sukha, atta. It's a very small concept, but the entire philosophy is grounded within these few words, if you think about it. So you can easily say, but that's not true. Everything is not anicca, dukkha, anatta. Like there are so many things which make me happy. There are so many things which bring me joy. There are so many things I want to live for. So that is where your work begins. That is where you are supposed to get into it and investigate if all those things are actually as valuable as you thought they were. So that essentially is the meditation. What really happens is when we give value to certain things, and we only give value to those things because we get something out of this. This is what we call this ashvade concept. Like there's a state of pleasure, of happiness. It can be in a profession, it can be in a partner, it can be in a mobile phone, in a car, in a house, in a state of being. It can be even in a meditation. Different places we hold as valuable. A long time ago when I was meditating on breath meditation, there would be some meditations where I got really calm. When the breath gets really subtle, you go into this kind of samadhi and it's really nice. But then when I sat for meditation the next day, I would automatically find myself trying to get to that state again. So even within that particular context, because we took that particular meditation state to be nichchai sapai sara, basically to our liking, as happiness as valuable, we got attached to it. Because we got attached to it, we cannot touch it once and be done with it. We had to experience it again and again and again and again. This is really the cycle which never ends. They say the man who has it all still wants more. That's because this never stops. No matter how much you take, you will always want more. It's a never-ending cycle. It is said that in samsara, we have taken these things, we have obtained these things again and again, so many times, infinite times. And even within this life, we are trying to obtain it again. Obtaining it through infinity, we are creating infinity again to get it again. It's never ending. So in order to break the cycle, what has to be done? To let go of these things? Can you really let go just by saying, okay, yeah, this car, getting this job is problematic. Okay, I'm going to let go of it. I'm done with it. Can you actually let go of something like that? I'm saying you can't. Unless you see the reality of the situation, you never can. And I say reality because that's exactly what it is. It is the real scenario with regards to every object, with regards to every state of mind, with regards to everything we hold valuable. There is a reality within all these things. If you really see reality for what it is, you will let go. It's not a process you have to do by force. It's a process once you see things for what they really are, you will automatically let go. So it's not in the sense you go saying, this car is suffering, no, like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't hold on to this. Oh, this occupation is suffering. Look how much suffering. And it's not a process of trying to convince yourself this is suffering. Rather, it's a process of seeing it exactly for what it is. And what it is actually suffering. See, there's a big difference there. The part where we are trying to convince ourselves that it's suffering, and the part where it is actually suffering. Because anicca, dukkha, anatta nature is the inherent nature of each and every existence. Each and every existence has this nature to it. Yeah? And also the other thing we must understand is all these concepts do not exist outside. They exist within our head. If you take your father, for example, take a parent, for example. To you, they are a parent. He is my father. But to your mother, he is the husband. To another friend, he is just a friend. But it's the same person. So to each and every person, this one object is so many different things. This concept of a father only exists in your head. So is it absolute reality, or is it a reality that you yourself have created? In the same way, when we are doing Vipassana, initially, even though we start off as activities outside, as objects outside, eventually we understand these objects are formed within our minds. What's really formed is a model of this object, this model of this person who has become my father. And what you are really attached to is not that person, but that person that you have formed from within. Because the father concept only existed within you. Did you all understand that? Is that a bit too deep? But I think it's really important to understand. Because what we attach to is not the real person, but the concept of the person we create. That is the valuable part. That is what we have given so much value to. And that is what we must break. That is what we must identify and see if it is really valuable or not. And again, I should stress on this. The path is not saying, oh my gosh, it's not valuable, not valuable, not valuable. The path is looking at that and seeing if you really got what you thought you will get out of this. So I use the term Vipassana. Vipassana or Vipassana meditation, insight meditation, this meditation where you investigate, where you look deeply into your mind, into what you hold valuable, is the practice of Vipassana meditation. So all these other types of meditation techniques we have been doing, like breath meditation, calming down meditation, all these samatha practices are important up to a certain extent. But the real gist of it, the real practice here is Vipassana or Vipassana. This is where we will get into the investigation mode and we will look and break down things and see them for their reality. But I should tell that samatha can be an extremely important tool, and it is an extremely important tool when starting this off. But eventually it has to come to the Vipassana aspect, where we look deeply into, where we try to break down if things are really as valuable as we thought they were. Because the whole reason rebirth happens, the whole reason there is another existence is to experience those things again. If we hold certain things valuable, then another mind, another existence will be formed to experience those again. So as long as there are things which you hold valuable in your life, there will always be another existence. But of course, then the question is, okay, I find this particular thing valuable, but I don't really see how can I let it go? And that is where the dukkha aspect comes in. Investigate properly and look if it is actually to your liking. Because that's what we took the world to be. We took the world to be something valuable. And here is a radical idea saying, yeah, you did take it to be valuable, but it's actually not as valuable as you think it is. So how do you break it down? there are many different approaches different people use. But a good way to look into it is the aspect of every dukkha. There's something called dukkha dukkha, sankhara dukkha, and viparinama dukkha. If we take a car, for example, let's take a car. In order to get the car, so getting the car could be a person's state of happiness. But in order to get that car, they should do a lot of work. Yeah, they should save up money, maybe go to a 9-to-5 job, work really hard, collect money, look at all the hit ad, and look at all the ads out there, and choose the particular car you want to get. So all that work which goes in order to get that particular pleasure or that ashvada is what we call sankhara dukkha. Then dukkha dukkha is basically the state of having no car. Every time you don't have a car, you become the person who doesn't have the car. So there's a state of sadness when you don't have the car. That part is dukkha dukkha. And then viparinama dukkha is when you finally get the car and you get that pleasure, you get that happiness, that fades away. So within this cycle, there was a state where you were unhappy because you didn't have a car. There was a state where you worked really hard to get the car. There was a state where you got the car. And there was a state where that happiness faded away. So your profit within this particular scenario was only the time you were happy getting the car. It's the same way with a degree or a promotion. You are happy while you get it, and then it goes away. I mean, look back to the times you did O-levels or A-levels. Can you look back and be like, oh yeah, I got these results and I'm really happy about it? No, that's dead and gone. It's only within those moments you can be happy. 10 years later, you can't look at that again and be happy. It's gone. Now you have to be on pursuit to the next thing. That's because it has gone through a viparinama. This kind of dukkha anyone can understand, but most people tend to not notice it or be in denial of it in some sort. Then the other aspect is, because we got this kind of pleasure, there is an attachment to this particular state. Make no mistake, there is happiness. And that is the entire problem. Because there is happiness, only we went around and around in samsara. If there wasn't any happiness, there would be no reason to go in samsara. So anyone who said that happiness is not real, I don't agree with that statement. Of course happiness is real, but only momentarily, only for a period of time that happiness is there. And that is basically the hook which keeps us in this loop, in this never-ending grind where we are looking for happiness again and again and again and again with no end. Even though I use the car example, some of you must be thinking, but I'm not a materialistic person. I'm not attached to this car or even a relationship or whatever. But of course, if you're not attached to anything, then that means you have finished the path. Then that means you must be an arahat by now. So really, you have to question yourself always. If there is any dukkha you feel within, there's always a cause for that dukkha. So first noble truth, there is dukkha. The noble truth of dukkha. There is a reason for this dukkha. There's a cause for this dukkha. What is the cause for this dukkha? Take in things which are actually anicca, dukkha, anatta in nature to be nicca, sukha, atta. Basically, to my liking, pleasurable and valuable. Yeah? So, the entire process is to find out what this cause of dukkha is. Then there is dukkha nirodha. There is a state where there is no dukkha, and there is a path to that state of no dukkha. So what is the path to that state of no dukkha? That is basically the Noble Eightfold Path. And that is what starts in Samma Ditti. So Samma Ditti is basically the very first step where you hear the dhamma, where you hear the nature of existence from the Buddha or one of the Buddha's followers. Yeah? So wherever, so this practice, when I was following it like very intensely, it was wonderful to me. So wherever I noticed I was down, wherever I noticed there was a problem, I was like, oh, that's great. This is where my work lies. This is where I should do something. This is where I should look into it. So throughout the day, even when I was in uni, there were many instances of stress and people would scold and so much conflict, even at home. So whenever something like that happened, that was a brilliant opportunity to go down into this, to dive right into it and see why I was experiencing this dukkha. Because wherever there is dukkha, there is a reason for that dukkha. And that is what we are breaking here. See, Buddhism is very different from, I think, Stoicism in that sense, because we are not trying to stay neutral within everything. Because you can get a sense whenever you are feeling too happy, whenever you are feeling too sad, you can think Buddhism is like, oh no, let's not feel this, let's feel neutral in this particular scenario. But that's not the path. Because what you are essentially doing there is you are putting another system. You are enforcing another system where you are kind of numbing down your reaction to feel neutrality all the time. Where that itself is not the path. The path is understanding why that dukkha was there. It's always you not suppressing the dukkha or like suppressing sadness or suppressing your depression or whatever. It's really investigating it to what it is. You don't destroy dukkha, you destroy the cause of dukkha. That's very important to understand. Because we go to the root cause. We look at the root cause of it, and that's where we apply the medicine. When the leaves are dying, we don't apply medicine to the leaves. We dig up, we find the roots, and that is exactly where we apply the medicine to. So that's very important to understand. So this path is not one of suppression. It's not something you kind of hold your feelings down there and not deal with them. Rather, you kind of take them all out. You make all those suppressed things surface, and you really investigate as to why you are feeling this way. Go deep and deep and deep within and try to understand. But the problem is, to a normal person starting off, this can be a bit of a difficult process. Because even to sit in one place and observe our mind as it's doing this, it takes a lot of courage. Because throughout infinity, throughout samsara, what we are used to doing is accepting what our mind is saying and going with it. If it tells you to go get the car, you would go get the car. If it tells you to go find your lover, you would go find your lover, But here is something where we're like, wait a second, what are you actually doing over here? Are you really going to get what you are going to get from this? I mean, are you really going to get a pleasure, a real permanent kind of pleasure? Or is it going to be way too much work? So it's almost pausing back, stepping back, taking a pause and looking at it and questioning it. And that takes a lot of guts, because you are going against your own system. You are going against your own mind. You are going against the patterns you've built throughout samsara. So you are going to be doing the polar opposite of what you've been doing through infinity. And that is no easy process. That takes a lot of work. So that's why we say, when you start off, samatha can help a lot, because relaxation meditation, coming to a particular state of calm before you look at the mind, that can help a lot. After you come to that particular state of mind, of calm, then you can investigate little by little by little. Even if you take the Noble Eightfold Path, I'll just quickly go through it, because I think it's important. Samma, sun means this addition process. What is this addition process? Basically, rebirth. Every moment, creating another existence. Why does it create another existence? Because they see value in certain things. Because we think we have to experience this again and again. Sanma means stopping this process. So ditti is the weave which leads to stopping this process. Samma ditti. Then samma sankappa, where we think about it. So I'm telling you this particular thing. The Buddha and his arahats and everyone else on the path will tell this particular thing. And then obviously the next step is to see with their logical reasoning if it makes sense or not. So samma sankappa, or right thought. But right, not in the sense of doing good. In a deeper way, samma, stopping this dukkha, stopping this never-ending, infinite existence. Then samma vacha, basically speaking. After you think, you have to discuss this. You have to talk about it. Maybe with yourself or with other people who are on the path, other people who understand. Then samma kammanta, where you actually sit down and contemplate on this particular thing. So this is where the meditation aspects kicks in. This is actually the meditation. Sitting down in one place and observing your value system, investigating your value system, seeing what you take as nichai, sukai, attai. Basically, to your liking, happiness and valuable. And investigating within your life, has it actually given you what you thought it did? Also, another thing you can do while sitting down is bringing up past memories or past traumas or situations where you were really uncomfortable. Even throughout the day, you might have some really uncomfortable scenarios. You can come home and meditate on that. You can vidarshana that. You can go into it. You can investigate it. Yeah? And then samma ajiva is basically right livelihood, where it becomes a part of your life. A very good example I've heard is of samma kammanta is basically trying it out. It's like cricket. It's like trying it out in the nets. You first bat in the nets and you get comfortable with it. Once you bat in the nets, then you come to the real match and then you play cricket. Of course, it's a whole different game because now the people are there. It's a real life situation. It's a whole other game when you do it in real life. But of course, the work you've done in the nets will definitely help. So samma ajiva is within your job. It doesn't have to be in robes. It doesn't have to be. It can be in your workspace, in your uni, wherever you are, in your home. Samma ajiva can kick in. Yeah? Then samma vayama, you continue this for a long period of time. You continue this for a significant period of time without stopping, without breaks. Yeah? Then samma sati comes. And samma sati is this mindfulness of this anicca dukkha anatta nature, mindfulness of this dukkha nature, mindfulness of the reality of what the mind is. Not mindfulness of our hands or our leg or our breath, because anyone can be mindful of that, And the samadhi or the relaxation or the concentration which arises from this mindfulness is samma samadhi. And you continue this path, eventually it gives rise to samma jnana and the samma vimukti, which is realization or nibbana. So this is the path. It's very clear cut. In the sense, it's not some magical mystery which is out there. It's actually grounded in a lot of logic and reasoning. It's a path which involves a lot of questioning and a lot of intuitive, like gut feeling, Sometimes we will know where the problem is. Even when we vidarshana, it is this logical reasoning kind of investigation we do, but it's also following our gut, sometimes following our feeling and seeing where we go. Because we know where the problems lie. It's just that we are not brave enough sometimes to look in there. So taking that up, following it and going deeper and deeper and investigating is the practice of vidarshana. From person to person, this path can greatly vary. Of course, it's the same framework, the same foundation. But you must have noticed, what you are attached to, your friends might not be attached to. What you hold valuable, another person might not take it to be valuable. That's because everything is subjective. There's no such thing as something which is absolutely valuable. Yeah? But actually, as you go further and further, there is one thing, but that comes towards the very end. However, for now, see where your subjective value lies. See where your subjective value lies, because that is what it is. It is lying to you. It doesn't really lie there. You think it is there. So you have to break it. If you break it, you will not form another mind or another existence to experience it again. Yeah? Because this entire thing, this entire system, because Lord Buddha said it's not just this human world, all kinds of systems, because this system we are used to is just one system. Yeah? There are other dimensions and other systems happening in different dimensions. Yeah? He said all these systems, all heavens, everything divine, even the devas, even the brahmas, he said there are 31 dimensions, and even within these 31 dimensions it's problematic. There is dukkha. There is nothing, there is no place where you can build your home, because if you do, you are going to suffer. Because if you do, you are going to be still within this system of dukkha. He said Nibbana is the only solution. So this is the core message of the Buddha, a very radical message also at the time, because there were so many people who worship devas, brahmas, who were trying to go into heaven, and Buddha comes along and he says each and every one of these systems are problematic. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to even believe that. What you have to do is take that, investigate for yourself and see if it is true or not. Yeah? Because the faith aspect, the faith aspect within Buddhism comes when you see this to be true. As you practice it, as you vidarshana, as you go deeper and deeper into it, you will see, my gosh, all these teachings hold true. Everything he said was true. And that will increase your shraddha. Personally, I wasn't a person with a lot of faith. But once I started going on this path and actively looking into it and actively breaking down these things and having my own insights, I was like, wow, what this person told 2,600 years ago holds true to each and every moment. Each and every moment of your life, it will hold true. And that's the beautiful thing about it. It cannot be proven wrong at any point. At every given single point, it's proven true. And you don't have to take my word for it. All you have to do is take that teaching, vidarshana it, investigate it, and see for yourself. It's actually amazing. And your shraddha, your faith in this will automatically improve more and more and more as you go along the path. So it's a very open-minded path. It's a very free-thinking, open-minded path where there is no such thing as a don't, in the sense there's no such thing you can't think on. You can bring in anything and you can investigate anything. Yeah? So that's what the Trilakshana, Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, holds true for each and every system. And each and every system exists within your mind. Yeah? That's why you don't have to go to the ends of the universe, to the corners of the world to see where your pleasure systems lie. Because it all was directly within your mind. So your mind was the beginning. Yeah? Because, for example, say, even if you take a shuttle and go to the other end of the universe and you find this amazing civilization over there, even there, what is needed to experience that civilization, or say they have their own culture, their own music, their movies, we don't have to watch them because there is a common factor within each and every of those things. I don't know if you got that. What I meant by that is, say, there are so many, if you are someone who enjoys music, there are so many songs which are yet to come out, which might be amazing, which we haven't heard, right? So, does it mean that in order to break down and see the dukkha nature of songs, we have to listen to each and every song? No, we don't. We just have to listen to what we have with us at our disposal right now. Because there is a common denominator, a common factor to each and every system. That is the song, the movie, space shuttles, things in different universes, different dimensions. One factor which was the common denominator, which remained the same. And that was our mind. We needed a mind to observe, investigate, and enjoy these things. So without going to the ends of the earth, we can actually go inside and do the same thing. Yeah? So we don't have to waste time finding all those pleasures. If we break the inside, we automatically break all those things outside. Because that was the common denominator. Summarizing, that's basically what the core of Buddhist teaching is. Like dukkha. The dukkha, but not in a sense of like, everything's pointless now, no. Why should I go to work anymore? There's no point, no. Everything's sad. Why am I even living? Oh, this misery. Not dukkha in that sense, because that's another extreme people can fall into and get depressed. But that's again because they believe life should be in a particular way, and that's not happening. So because again of that expectation, because again they are taking a system which is again nichchai, sukhai, attai, but they don't see it. So that is where the whole depression aspect comes in. This is just seeing life for what it is. That's it. Nothing strange, nothing out of the ordinary. It's a deep dive into the ordinary, into the mundane, into the normal nature of our existence. There is not one place we can take which is ideal, which is free from suffering. But we try so hard in our lives to keep it together, to come to a system where there is no more suffering, where it's going to be good. You have to remind yourself that that is just a concept in your head. That place doesn't exist. You can try so hard, but at least be realistic with yourself and see if you can really get to that place. Because you've been trying since you were a kid to get to that place, and it's never ending. There's always another place to get to. That's because there's no system which is ideal. Everything has this anicca, dukkha, anatta nature to it. So we don't have to cry about it or be sad about it. It's just existence. It's just nature for what it is. It's just looking and understanding things as what they are. It's breaking our value systems. And that is, I think, that is what I see as the core of what Buddhism is. Any questions? Okay then. Thank you. Theruvan Saranai.